So today we're honored to host Washington County Business Recovery Center's marketing expert, Kathy Bazan from the Tualatin BRC. This presentation will be recorded and later available via Impact Beaverton YouTube channel as a resource for small businesses. We will also make the Spanish audio available through our talented interpreter, Jessica Dover, joining us today. Thank you, Jessica. And as the presentation rolls, please put your questions in the chat box and we will do our best to address every one of them. And so now welcome, Kathy. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Emma, for inviting me. In case you're wondering, folks, Emma and I are both consultants for the Business Recovery Center. She's up in Beaverton, I'm down in Tualatin. But both of us provide you with free, confidential counseling. So please feel free to reach out to us. We're happy to help. And Gustavo's on the team too, because he goes out and he talks to people all the time. He's wonderful at that. I'm Kathy Bazan. I'm your guide on this social media journey. And the reason that I was picked by Emma to do this is that I actually have been writing social media for companies since 2009. In 2.5 years, for a very, very small company in Sedona, Arizona, I built their corporate Facebook page from 0 to over 9,500 likes. That was done by writing vibrant SEO content, and I never bought an ad. So what my situation here today is that I'm going to teach you what I have learned. Let's start the journey. So what's going on in social media right now? Each one of you today has customers who know where you are, as well as people who could become your customers if they knew where you were. So right now, 95% of all internet users between the ages of 18 and 64 send or receive email every single day. 82% of these folks are willing to sign up for eBlasts, which are newsletters that come from websites that are known by that particular individual. So let's say somebody knows about Coca-Cola. They might sign up for the Coca-Cola eBlast to get recipes or inside information about new flavors that are coming out. Like most business owners out there, you're probably trying to figure out, what do your clients want? Well, if 82% of the people coming to your website wanted something and it was legal, you'd probably do it, wouldn't you? Good. Well, that something is email marketing. It's sending them an e-blast. According to Ron Cates, who is a social media expert, only 33% of all websites offer a subscription to eBlast. So there's only a way to sign up for an eBlast on about 33% of all websites. But 82% of all visitors are willing to sign up. So, aha, maybe you need an eBlast. Now, here's something else you want to consider. An eBlast converts to sales, making you money, 3 times more than just regular old social media, posting on your blog, posting on Facebook or LinkedIn. For every $1 spent on an average looking email campaign, it returns to you over $44.25. Pretty good return. So how do you get people to sign up for your email marketing? Number one, you want to offer a subscription box on each page of your website. The reason is, if somebody's searching for content about your topic, let's say you're a market that specializes in foods for the Hispanic community. So you might have written about masa on one page of your website, and somebody from who knows where, Arizona, may have found your website through Google because they were looking for information about masa. Well, if they go to page 4 of your website and you don't have a subscription box there, they may never think to go back to your homepage and sign up. That's why you want that subscription box on every single page. You might offer a discount or something free to the person with their first order. That's an incentive for them to sign up for your eBlast. Newington's, which is a cat-based website, actually offers this as their subscription. So you get 10% off your first purchase. You can play with whatever you want to do or whatever you want to give them. I've seen jewelry sites give a free pair of earrings with any first order. So it just depends on what you want to do. Now, why are people willing to sign up to get more email? Well, it's interesting. It's an acronym, fear of missing out, FOMO. They want to get your eBlast because they feel that you might be sharing top secret information with them and not the rest of the world. You might be giving coupons or discounts only to somebody who subscribes, not to everybody else in the world. So it's that joining a sorority, joining a fraternity, joining a clubhouse. It's that sense of being in a little tiny group of very special people. And that's why folks will sign up. Check boxes are your friends. After someone signs up, you can always send them a very short email. I call it a get to know you form, on which they can check boxes and segment themselves. When I worked for CPA Excel, I had people who were subscribing who either were studying to pass the exam or they had already passed. So those two groups have very different needs for information. That's why on the subscription, the email, the get to know you email that I would send after they subscribed, I'd ask, have you passed or are you still studying? And then that way I wrote a specific email to those two groups. Somebody who's already passed the exam wants to know about career options, tax law changes, and new continuing education courses. Somebody who's still studying to pass the certified public accountant exam might be looking for study tips or test taking tips. There we go. And maybe discounts on the courses. So you see how I'm producing two different sets of content. There's a wonderful lesson I've learned in life. Just because a company has a ton of money doesn't make them brilliant. I'm going to give a couple of different examples throughout this presentation, how very large companies made very big mistakes. All right. Audi has a $900 million marketing budget. That's just for marketing. That's not for creating a new car. It's really odd that a company that big would send the same email to everybody. So whether you already own an Audi or whether you just took a test drive, you get the same stupid message. Buy an Audi. Come on back to the dealership. Buy an Audi. Well, this makes the people who've already spent thousands and thousands of dollars to buy an Audi very unappreciated. And as a result, there isn't a lot of brand loyalty to Audi because of this in comparison to some other brands. If Audi spent part of that 900 million and wrote two different emails, they'd have much happier customers. So if somebody's already purchased an Audi, you might send them an email. Wow, thank you for buying two Audis. Do you know anyone like you who is interested in high performance automobiles? And that way, the folks who own an Audi would feel that they were honored and respected, especially at that price. Okay, if I ask you to write eBlasts, does this mean more work for you? No, because I think I know how you'd feel about that. You look kind of like this guy, you'd be upset. So how do you write an effective eBlast? Number one, I do want you to watch Social Media 101. We do have that as a presentation. We do have a link to that, so Emma or I can send that to you. You just need to let us know if you want it. In your content, when you're writing your eBlast, you want to use 2 to 3 short tail keywords or 1 long tail keyword. And I do explain what both of these are in 101. But a short tail keyword is a noun that relates to your business. Long tail keyword is a question that relates to your business. So if I'm a hula school, a question that would relate to my business would be, where can I learn the hula in Metro Portland? If I'm an auto repair shop, where can I get my Chevy repaired in Beaverton, as a for instance? So a short tail keyword would be Chevy truck as an example, or hula, or hula dance, or learn the hula. So short tail, very few words, and long tail is an entire question or a statement. You want to write about 16 lines of information, such as what's the best tennis racket for a left-handed player, and then 4 lines of a sales pitch. My store is the best place for you to get that left-handed tennis racket. Just as an example, it should print out on 1 sheet of 8.5 by 11 paper. That's what normally is going into your printer. Hopefully, it's got about 300 words in it. We'll explain later. Why? Because you're going to reuse that content. That eBlast that you're writing, you're going to send that out. And then about 2 weeks later, you're going to change the title in the first paragraph and post that eBlast on your blog. So it saves you writing a blog post that week. About 2 days later, you want to change the title in the first paragraph again. Then you can post it on Facebook or LinkedIn. So what does reusing your content look like? This is just an example from something I've already done. So on Monday, October 19th, the eBlast was how not to title your eBlast. I took that content 2 weeks later, changed the title, changed the first paragraph, posted it on the blog as the worst eBlast title of all time, and that's on the Tualatin Chamber of Commerce. And then I took it and 2 days later, changed the title, changed the first paragraph, I think you're used to this by now, and then posted it on Facebook. So how much do I write each week for the Tualatin Chamber? I do 1 eBlast, 3 blog posts, 3 Facebook notes, and here's what that looks like. All right, so as you see in the blue, that is the title for an eBlast, and you'll see one at the top and you'll see one down at the bottom. I'm showing you how I reuse that content. So then when I'm not writing an eBlast, then I'm doing a blog post about small business loans. I changed the title, changed the first paragraph. 2 days later, I put it up on Facebook as where to find loans. So you can see through this pattern how I'm changing the titles and where I'm posting. By the way, when we do send you the link to this class, we will send you these slides. So you, you don't have to make a ton of notes if you don't want to. All right, which social media channels should you be on? Well, I've been writing social media since 2009. I've been a small business counselor since 2014. As a counselor, I suggest that you work on 1 social media channel. When you get really comfortable with that, then you add another one. Your blog is not social media. If your blog is on your website, it is considered on-site content. A social media channel would be Facebook, LinkedIn, that sort of thing. I realize with all the social media channels out there, you may be feeling like this lady. I'm here to help. Emma's here to help. We're here for you. So what makes each social media channel unique? Well, Facebook has 2.7 billion active monthly users. It's called Facebookistan because the only nation in the world with more people is China. So Facebookistan is in the pattern of Pakistan, Afghanistan, etc. So that's where the joke comes in, as to playing with words. Anyway, Facebook has both personal profiles as well as business pages. But wait, there's more channels. LinkedIn has 260 million active monthly users. So you see it's much smaller than Facebook, but it's aimed at primarily a professional audience. So if you're in a business that caters to other professionals, you might want to be on LinkedIn instead of Facebook. 40% of those on LinkedIn access it on a daily basis. Twitter has 330 million active monthly users. 63% are between 35 and 65. What's interesting is that up until 2016, most Twitter users were under 35. Guess who pulled that demographic older? Okay. Instagram has 1 billion active monthly users. Okay. What are you trying to accomplish? Well, your goal is to have Google find your content. If Google finds what you've put up on Facebook, LinkedIn, and your blog, they will index it, allowing other people to find it. But in order for Google to index your content and allow others to find it, potential customers, you need to follow some of their rules. So you need to be writing 300 words or more for every blog post, Facebook note, LinkedIn update, Instagram story. Twitter only allows you 300 words if you link to Bitly. So I normally do not recommend Twitter for trying to get Google's attention. Now what? In addition to posting on your blog and social media content, what can you send to current and potential customers? Well, basically there are 3 types of communications you can send to your clients. These are eBlasts, emails, and the dreaded spam. What is an eBlast? It's a newsletter you send via email to your subscribers. These are people who've been on your website, who've given you their email address and said, yes, I want to receive your content. That's why an eBlast is valuable. People have signed up for it. You want to send this on a regular basis. It could be once a quarter, could be once a month, could be weekly to your subscribers. It's up to you as to how much you want to do. The eBlast focuses on adding value, on giving information, on educating and entertaining, rather than sales, sales, sales. Okay, what makes an email different from an eBlast? An email is usually shorter than an eBlast. It's sent infrequently and it usually focuses on a sale or an event. It's something very specific. What is spam? We don't want spam. We don't want anybody to think you spam them. Recipients do not sign up but are deluged anyway. Spam is annoying and often deleted. What you want to make sure is that you never get classified as spam because it makes it very difficult for you to do email marketing. Why is it called spam? Well, you can thank Monty Python. They had a sketch in which every single menu item at a restaurant had spam in it. So spam and eggs, spam and this, spam and that. Several of the characters in the background had this very annoying chant. Spam, 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 spam. Basically, people got very tired of the word spam, even though it meant a canned lunch meat. So when people were searching for a word to describe annoying email or something that just irritated you, they picked the word spam based on Monty Python. All right, what do you need to know to create a great eBlast? First, you need to create a catchy subject line, but you need to be careful. Your title can't be more than 40 characters. And what I'm talking about is when you're sending an e-blast, you know that your email format would be the person's email address. And then a couple of lines down, it says subject. That's the line I'm talking about right there. You can't have more than 40 characters and spaces on that subject line. The subject line of the e-blast can actually be longer than that because it's within the email. But that subject line at the top, right under the person's email address, that stops at 40. And the reason is that both Yahoo and Outlook have a 40 character and space limit. And they don't care if it's the middle of the word. They will drop the hammer and cut off the rest of your title. So this is a true story. Neiman Marcus, a very expensive department store, sent out an e-blast with the subject line right below the person's email address. Neiman Marcus, winter fashion you can't afford to miss. Guess what Outlook and Yahoo did to that? It became Neiman Marcus, winter fashion you can't afford, which is what many people think about Neiman Marcus, but it was a little surprising to see that in an email. You can make your subject line personal, your beach adventure, your Antelope Canyon adventure, your adventure in Mexican cooking, whatever you want to do. Create subject lines that start with a numeral or a symbol. Here's the reason. If you continue to use that numeral, and a numeral is the representation of a number, so think of the number 10. If you look at that block, the 1 and the 0 represent the number 10. That's a numeral, but the concept of the number 10 is called the number. Anyway, sorry to get off into the weeds. So if you keep a numeral in your title, Google is actually going to index that content ahead of every other piece of content. And the reason is anything that starts with a number, 3 great day hikes in Sedona, or 10 ways to save money on your wedding flowers, that content is shown on a Google search above content that might start out how to save money on your wedding flowers. So you want to be using those numbers when they're appropriate. Titles with a $sign or a percentage have a much higher open rate than other types of emails. So save $300 today, get 25% off. Those are titles that people will open more often. When you're creating your e-blast, you want to move your header from your marketing, from your website into your e-blast. This way, when people see it, they go, oh, I remember the Alabama Cattlemen's Association. I've seen their website. This is an email I can open, and a Nigerian prince will not ask me to transfer his money. I just wanted to point out that I am allowed to pun. It's my presentation. So get along, little doggies. Picture this. eBlast with color images generates 7 times more purchases than just a text eBlast alone. So always make sure you get a picture in there. But bigger is not necessarily better. The recommended image size for most eBlasts is 480 pixels by 480 pixels or smaller. If you go bigger than that, what the customer may see when they open the email is just this big old white blob. The Improv, which is a comedy club in Los Angeles, generated 40% more sales after they dropped the larger image eBlast, and they went for a smaller image. When people could see the image, they were much more likely to buy tickets to a comedy show. Tips for writing your eBlast. Now, this is something I set up for one of my clients who happens to counsel people on topics related to aging well. So again, you do want to select 2 to 3 short tail keywords or 1 long tail. You do want to, you do want to write your content in Word or similar software and then spell check. And what I'm pointing out here is that on January 16th, she used the short tail keywords, aging well and cognitive function, to build her content for her eBlast. And then on January 18th for her blog, she simply used this title, this question as her title: how can I age well? That way she was meeting Google's requirements for having those keywords in there. So just to give you an idea of eBlast content ideas, if you're a florist, you might write articles, or you might write eBlast, save money in selecting in-season flowers. It's much more expensive if you decide to order peonies in December because there aren't a lot of them around. So for instance, before you send flowers to someone in the hospital, ask. Many hospitals no longer allow bouquets to be delivered to people in the hospital due to breathing problems. So you may want to call the hospital and check before you actually send something. How succulents can add texture to your bouquet. So you've got a lot of different topics there as a florist. If you're a coffee shop, you might want to find out, or you might want to teach people why locally roasted coffee has more flavor and why it's better. You might want to talk about why Hawaiian coffee is so special. Or can I add berries to my coffee? More content ideas. If you're a wellness practitioner, 4 tips for aging well. Or how can I prevent cognitive decline? How can I improve my health after 50? These are all topics that would make great eBlasts. You can then repackage it as blog posts, Facebook notes, LinkedIn updates. If you're an accountant, are business grants taxed? As a counselor, I get asked this question all the time. When should I hire an employee? What every business owner needs to know about long-range tax planning. Within your eBlast, you want to have at most 1 link to some site outside the eBlast. If you've got more than 1 link, people become Alice down the rabbit hole. They go click on the links, they don't come back. They never finish what you're trying to teach them or share with them. So 1 link at a maximum. If you can get away with no links, perfect. My suggestion is this: I always write my content in Word or something similar to that. Then I take the content after I have spell checked it, I copy it and drop it into the template for Constant Contact or MailChimp. Those are pretty easy to use. There are some other competing ones out there. So I'm not giving a commercial for these two. You can use whatever you want to. Add a photo or buy one from a site. There are a number of different websites out there that will sell you images. Okay, heads up, it's your footer. When you're putting together an eBlast, there's always a footer section down at the bottom. So in your footer, you want to make sure you put your eBlast in there, your website in there, and you want to call attention to it by saying, please visit my website at www.nameofyourwebsitehere.com. This way you can track how many people have opened your eBlast and you get some idea of what kind of impact you're making. Make sure that the email address which is sending your eBlast to your customers is the same as the address in your footer. If the address is different on the eBlast, people might not realize it's your business and might delete it. More tips: add sharing buttons. Social media sharing can increase your clicks by 158%. That's according to Ron Cates. Plus, if somebody shares to their Facebook page, as for instance, you can actually connect with them on that channel and you can track to see who did that. Why you want to sign up on every page. Now, this is for another website. Want superior business results? Start creating superior content. So you can sign up for content there. They start sending you eBlasts. Depending on your keywords, a search engine can lead your client to any page of your website. That's why you want this subscription box on any page. Any and every page, I should put it that way. Here's some other clever ways to increase your mailing list. There's a guitar store in Denver that has trained all of its people when they answer the phone and somebody asks for, hey, do you have Gibson guitars? The staff member is trained to respond, yes, we do. And we have a free email newsletter with exclusive information about Gibson guitars. Would you like to give me your email address? And that's how they've been increasing the number of people subscribed. 92% of callers sign up for that eBlast. Now, you may be wondering, where does an eBlast fit in your overall marketing strategy? Well, by sharing your knowledge with your customers, you become an expert in their eyes. And by doing so, you form a relationship with them. Historically, over time, if you have been sending folks your eBlast for a while, there is only a 1% chance of those folks who regularly open your eBlast will buy from one of your competitors. So there's a 99% chance they'll buy from you. Yeah, this will be fun. Okay, here's a caution for you. When people open your eBlast, it may not show up on your reports. So don't clean out the folks who did not open, because 6% of those actually opened your eBlast, but it didn't register as having opened. Why? We don't know, but don't clean it out. It's okay. So Emma and I are here to help you. If you have questions about pivoting your marketing, social media, gaining access to capital like loans and grants, please let us know. We're here to help.
Thank you, Kathy. Always a pleasure learning with you. So much information. Now we got to review it and implement it, right? How can I protect my domain from spam?
Ooh. Every website platform, Weebly, Wix, whatever it is you're using, has their own protocols for strengthening your security filters. So I would go to either the person who designed your website, and it could be somebody around the corner from you, or call the actual company that created this platform for you.
Thank you, Kathy.